Okay, good morning everyone. Again, Kvittel. Thank you everybody for coming tonight. Leil Hoshana Rabba. Tonight's Suda and Shir dedicated by my Chaver Tov, Shachen Tov, one of the Sagan Leviim, who he's from the Shiurim, because not only is from the Baal Menagnim, he also opens the gates in the morning of the shul. So he's also from the Shiurim. Rabbi Dr. Menachem Fuchs is dedicating tonight's shir in honor of Hoshana Rabba, and we're Mavarich Dr. Fuchs and his illustrious family of Talmidei Chachamim and Bnei Aliyah, that they should continue in the derech of the Ulalevi Amar Tumecha v'Yurecha li'ish Chasidecha. They should see many Doros Yisham Vayrachim from the whole family. That's Hashem Ad Bias Goyel Tzedek. Amen. Also, tonight's shir is dedicated by my good friend Rabbi Isaac Yoselovsky, who's a very dear chaver of mine, and actually he showed me some of the Marmakoimos for tonight's shir. He didn't even realize he was just sharing it with me, but I'm going to use one of the ideas that he mentioned to me. But if you're here tonight, it's a very big zechus to hear the following material. To be able to hear this material, probably, maybe your great-grandmother, she shed a tear that you should have the zechus to hear this information. I was not aware of it as of yesterday. I didn't even know what we were going to discuss. Actually, I did know what we were going to discuss. Not this. It was discuss Tfilas Geshem. That we know one of the keys that HaKadosh Baruch Hu maintains sole control over is the rain, the Gemara says. Hashem doesn't give it to any shliach. But in the Tfilas Geshem we say Afberi. Afberi is the Malach. So is it the Rebbeinu Shem, or are there Malachim? So that's what we were going to speak about. But instead, because we have such a chashav olam, we're going to discuss Dvarim ha'imdim bruma shel olam. And I want to welcome my very chashav friend, Rabbi Rav Subar, all the way from Muncie. I don't know if everybody knows Rabbi Subar. If you get the emails of the Shiurim and the Marmakoimos, Rabbi Aaron has been sending it out for more than a decade. When we started the Shiurim, it was sent out to maybe 1 million of people. And Baruch Hashem today, it's more than 1 million of people. And it's grown tremendously since then. Many avenues, many platforms. But the Yisoid L'chol Davar Shebekdusha is Rabbi Aaron Subar. So, and even today, continues to build the reach of the Shiurim. So we're Mavarch Rabbi Aaron and his son Rab Dovi Shlita. They should continue B'siyata Deshmaya with Harbei Nachas the Kedusha Bias Goyel Tzedek. Amen. So let's start with the Gemara in Kedushin, because now, tonight the Mishnah Berurah says the Zman of being Maver Sedra of Zois HaBracha is tonight, Hoshana Rabba. So it's interesting, there's a tradition in the Zohar, there are Gan Parshiyos, 53 Parshiyos. But if you count the Parshiyos, there are 54 Parshiyos. So they're different Terutzim. One of the answers is Zois HaBracha doesn't count. Why? Because we don't read Zois HaBracha on Shabbos. Okay. How many Pesukim are in the Torah? How many Pesukim are in the Torah? Something like 5,000. If you count the Pesukim in the Torah, there are 5,845 Pesukim. 5845. That's our tradition. 5,845. And there could be a logical reason for that. It's Elef, Tuf Memhei. Tuf stands for Talmud Torah. Memhei is one of the names of the Shem Havaya. Yud Kei Vav Kei spelled out, B'miluai is Memhei. So we could possibly suggest the reason that there are 5,845, 800 Tuf, Talmud Torah, Memhei, the name of Hashem. That's what the Sefer Maser Rekech suggests. Maser Rekech is Rebbe Lezer Hagadol of Amsterdam. Was a great Makubal, great Poisek, and actually the Maser Rekech, who was a great Rav in Amsterdam, eventually came to Tzfas. But what's interesting is that the Belzer Hasidim descend from the Maser Rekech. Fine. But he says, even though our tradition is that there are 5,845, that's the way we count them. But if you look in the Gemara in Kedushin, the Gemara gives a different count. How many Pesukim are in the Gemara How many Pesukim are in the Torah according to the Gemara in Kedushin? Look at number 1. Tanu Rabbanon, Chameshes Alafim Ushmaina Meos Ushmainim Ushmaina Pesukim. There are 5,888 Pesukim. You have a chair, bring in a chair. There are more chairs. Bring in, squeeze in. Everyone could move down one. You could pass it out. Rav Daniel, we're going to talk about the Rambam. So we have interesting information about the Rambam tonight. But according to the Gemara, there are 5,888 Pesukim in the Torah. So even though we count 5,845, there are actually 33 more Pesukim, 5,888. What is the significance of 5,888? It sounds like a rather random number. We're going to see this number is so exact and precise, I don't know if you'll be able to sleep tonight. Or maybe for many nights in a row. Okay? Just remember, 5,888. Let's begin by discussing a tradition of the Chasam Sofer. We know that V'zois HaBracha, we know that Simchas Torah, we call up many aliyos. Everyone gets an aliyah, V'zois HaBracha. Kohen, Levi, Yisrael, there are no exceptions. Gadol, Katan, everyone gets an aliyah. Chasam Sofer was makbid, that he would make sure 49 people got an aliyah before him, and then for Chasam Torah, he would take aliyah number 50. That was the minhag of the Chasam Sofer. This is reported in the Sefer Elef Kasav of Rav Yitzchak Weiss. Why would the Chasam Sofer take the 50th aliyah? Because the Chasam Sofer, it is well known, Chasam Sofer had the neshama of the Ramban. The Chasam Sofer had the Nishmas Ramban. The Ramban was Nishmas Moshe Rabbeinu, his nitzutz of Moshe. And Moshe Rabbeinu, how many levels of Chachma did Moshe Rabbeinu have? So the Gemara says in Rosh Hoshana, Chamishim Shari Bina Nivru Ba'olam, the 50 gateways of wisdom, the Kulam Nitna LaMoshe Chasar Achas, they're all given to Moshe -1. So Shenemar Vatechasreu Ma'at Me'alekim, like it says, I diminished him slightly from God. God is level 50, Moshe is level 49. Comes Arizal, and Arizal asks, if Moshe Rabbeinu had 49, then why does the Gemara say 50 -1? That's not how you talk. I'm going to give you money. How much? $1 million minus 999,999. The Iker Madrega is the 50th Madrega. He got 50 -1. So he's not left with anything. The Iker Madrega is the 50th Madrega. So why does the Gemara say he had 50 -1? Say he had 49.
Does that mean he started off with 50?
Says Ari, Moshe Rabbeinu started off with 50. Shenemar vayedaber Hashem es kol. Kol is 50. But by the Ched Ho'egel, he went down to 49. Shenemar leich reid. Go down from leich. Leich is 50. Go down from leich to 49. Did Moshe Rabbeinu ever get the 50th level back? Yes. Vayal Moshe. Moshe went up. Me'ar vois Moav. He went up from the plains of Moav. Moav is Gematria 49. Moav is 49. And how high did he go? El Har Nevoi Nun Boy. El Har Nevoi. He went up to the 50th level. Who says this? Shla Kadosh. This is the famous revelation of the Shla. If you look at number 16, the Shla Kadosh in Parshas V'aschanan says that Moshe Rabbeinu started off on the 50th level of wisdom. And by the Ched Ho'egel, Hashem says Leich Reid. He sent him down to Madrega. And that's the meaning of the Gemara. Chamishim Shari Bina Nivru Ba'olam V'nidna LaMoshe Chasar Echad. In the beginning there, and that's why the Gemara quotes the pasuk, Vatechasreu me'at me Eloikim. Of the oisi ois Eloikim, what's the smallest ois? Aleph. So God took away 1 from Moshe. He took away the Aleph. And by the last day of Moshe Rabbeinu, Vayal Moshe me'ar vois Moav, he went up from 49 El Har Nevoi to the 50th level. So say the Talmidei Chasam Sofer. Chasam Sofer was the neshama of who? The Ramban. The Ramban was the nitzutz of Moshe. So, and on the last day of Moshe Rabbeinu's life, he went up to the 50th level. So the Chasam Sofer was trying to tap into the Shar Chamishim. So therefore he took the 50th Aliyah and he took Chasam Torah. So there are a lot of bombshell revelations here. First of all, Moshe Rabbeinu got the 50th level. Chasam Sofer was the Ramban. Did you ever hear that before? The Chasam Sofer was the Nitzvah. So now we're going to establish conclusively that the Chasam Sofer had the neshama of the Ramban. How do we know? Well, he carried he had a special pin. By the Shalom Aleichem, I'm the Ramban. He had an identity card. How do we know Chasam Sofer was the Ramban? So the first thing was we look in the official biography of the Chasam Sofer, the Chod HaMeshulash, written by the grandson of the Chasam Sofer. The Chasam Sofer said that Chasam Sofer learned every week the parsha with Rashi and the Ramban. Chasam Sofer would say learning the parsha with Rashi is like learning Gemara with Rashi. But not learning the Ramban is like learning without Tosfos. So Chasam Sofer held, you need to learn Chumash, Rashi with the Ramban. And he wrote in his Tzava, you need to learn Rashi and the Ramban. Emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes from the Ramban. As is well known, the Chod HaMeshulash says, Chasam Sofer loved the Ramban, because he had the neshama of the Ramban. By the way, in the Sefer Shnei HaSofer, he also brings Chasam Sofer held he was the Ramban. The Yismach Moshe wrote a Perush not only on Torah, on Nevi'im and Ksuvim. There's a Hakdama, a biography of the Yismach Moshe. Yismach Moshe was a contemporary of the Chasam Sofer. He is the progenitor of Satmar. Yismach Moshe, this is the report of the Yetav Lev, descendant of the Yismach Moshe. Says the Yetav Lev, I heard from my Zayda, the Yismach Moshe, that the Yismach Moshe said about the Chasam Sofer. By the way, Yismach Moshe passed away a year after the Chasam Sofer. The Yismach Moshe says the Chasam Sofer was the Ramban. But I don't always agree with him because I'm the Rambam. Now the Yismach Moshe was the Gulgulim of many people. How do we know? He said so. He said so. He says, come in, Reb Robert, come in. Yismach Moshe says he was around in the times of Korach. And whose side was he in? He didn't take sides. He stayed out of it. That's what he says. He was also around by the sheep of Yaakov Avinu. He had many appearances throughout history. And the Yetav Lev says, I can't believe it. When I heard the Chasam Sofer is the Ramban, now I understand. Kemat, there's not a tshuva of the Chasam Sofer that doesn't quote the Ramban. There's kemat not a Dvar Torah that the Chasam Sofer doesn't quote the Ramban. Another report, Rav Shaul Brach. Rav Shaul Brach was a Talmud of the Chasam Sofer. Rav Shaul Brach, by the way, Rav Obam once said over that his father was a Talmud of Rav Shaul Brach, who was a student of the Chasam Sofer. Rav Shaul Brach was a Marbitz Torah in Hungary for almost 50 years. He had tremendous arichas yamim, and he attributed his long life not to the fact that he taught Torah for 50 years, because he was makbid every week, Shnai Mikra ve'echad Targum. Rav Shaul Brach said the Chasam Sofer was mechabev. He showed a special love to any Talmud who had learned the Ramban. If you learned the Ramban, Chasam Sofer showed you special treatment. As is well known, the Chasam Sofer held he was the Ramban. Moreover, how did the Chasam Sofer sign his name? He would write Moshe HaKatan. But normally you'd write HaKatan Moshe. No. Since the Ramban's name was Moshe, he didn't want to write HaKatan Moshe, so he wrote Moshe HaKatan. That's what's brought in the Hakdama of the Tov Yerushalayim Perush on the Ramban. There are many, many interesting citations that the Chasam Sofer had the neshama of the Ramban. By the way, the Yismach Moshe was the Rambam. Says the Arizal in the Shar HaGilgulim, it's well known there was a difference of approach between the Ramban and the Rambam. The Ramban was an expert in Kabbalah. The Rambam, the Reb Chaim Vital says, Lo zacha ilaha, lo zacha leida chachmas ha'emes. You hear this? The Ari writes, the Ramban was an expert b'chachmas ha'emes, the Rambam wasn't. Now that's debatable, because there are many proofs, there are many tshuvas. For Meir Shapiro as a tshuva, that there are many things in the Rambam that have no makar and shas and Pesukim except the Zohar HaKadosh. For example, the Rambam writes, who finished the sentence, Kol HaKoyes Ki'ilu Oived Avodah Zarah. Where does it say that? Nowhere. Doesn't say that anywhere. The Gemara says, Kol HaMeshaber Kelim B'Chamosai. Anyone who breaks, let's say you get angry, and you take a vase and you shatter it, that's like Avodah Zarah. But stam to get angry, the Gemara doesn't say it's like Avodah Zarah, but the Rambam writes, Kol HaKoyes Ki'ilu Oived Avodah Zarah. Where did the Rambam get it from? The Zohar. But the Rambam didn't have the Zohar. The Rambam must have had midrashim that had similar quotes as the Zohar HaKadosh. The bottom line is, says the Ari, why did the Rambam know Kabbalah? Why did the Ramban know Kabbalah and the Rambam not? They both had the soul of Moshe Rabbeinu. Therefore, both of them, their name was Moshe. Where in Moshe Rabbeinu were they? The Rambam was on one of the payas of Moshe Rabbeinu, that Rizal says, and the Ramban was in the other payas of Moshe Rabbeinu. Which side, says the Ari? The Rambam was on the left side. The left side of Moshe Rabbeinu's payas is not a makom of limud Kabbalah. The right side, the Ramban was hanging out on the right side. There, it was more conducive to Chachmas HaEmes. That's what the Rambam, that's what the Ari says in Shah HaGodolim. The bottom line is, Chasam Sofer was Ramban. So Chasam Sofer was a big expert in Kabbalah, because he's in the Ramban. The Ramban's on the right paya of Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay. Now, the Kaf HaChaim, Rabbi Yaakov Chaim Sofer, has a grandson today, who's one of the biggest Mechabrei Svarim, named after him, Rabbi Yaakov Chaim Sofer. It is well known that many Yidden, when they hear the sound of the bass tiflos, the bells ringing, they close their ears. They don't want to hear the bells ringing. But 200 years ago, nobody did it. Who was the first person to put their fingers in their ears when the church bells rang? The Chasam Sofer. Chasam Sofer was mechadesh, the minhag, not to hear the church bells. In fact, his Talmud, the Kol Aryeh, once saw the Chasam Sofer going like this. So what's going on? Is it the newest song that came out that you can't even listen to? No. It's not. What is it? And then they heard the church bells ringing, and Chasam Sofer said, did they finish ringing? Chasam Sofer said, klingeld man noch, meaning they finished ringing? He said, finished ringing? He took his fingers out. So Rabbi Yaakov Chaim Sofer wants to know, why was the Chasam Sofer mechadesh the minhag of putting his fingers in the ear by the church bell? He says, lo and behold, if you look in the writing of the Ramban says, why do the Noitzrim ring the church bells? Says the Ramban, it's mamish maisa avodah zara. Says the Ramban, I want to tell you a secret. Do you know how to do kishuf? Says the Ramban, you know how you do oivi yadoini? You take a man and a woman, and you go to a kever, and you ring bells, and you start swearing, and you start doing all kinds of incantations. Says the Ramban, the ringing of the bell awakens the dead of the Maisa Oivi Yadoini. And then later on in history, the Goyim adopted the minhag of ringing the church bells, because this is reminiscent of Maisa Oivi Yadoini. Says Ramban, Laharois Kol Yesudosam Betuma. Says Rabbi Yaakov Chaim Sofer, in his opinion, since the Chasam Sofer was the Ramban, and the Ramban was the one who was mechadesh, the koyach, what the shoyrish of the koyach hatuma of the church bells, therefore the Chasam Sofer was the one who innovated the practice in Klal Yisrael to close your ears when you hear the church bells. In fact, Rabbi Yisrael Salanter said, I efsher leta'er goydel hatuma hayoyredes la'olam b'shosha hagoyim mekashkeshim b'pa'amoyne bate hatifla. Okay. Now, it could be, even if the Chasam Sofer was not the nitzutz of the Ramban, but he definitely loved the teachings of the Ramban, and the Ramban was the one who revealed the tumah of the ringing of the bells, so the Chasam Sofer probably was particularly sensitive to this. Rabbi said tonight, we want to uncover more depth in the minhag of the Chasam Sofer that he took the 50th Aliyah and he took the Aliyah of Chasam Torah. How many Pesukim are in the Torah? 5,888. How did Moshe write the Torah? The Ramban says he looked at the Torah in Shamayim. The Torah in Shamayim is black fire on white fire. Says the Ma'aser Rekeach, Libi Oimerli, my heart tells me that even though we have 5,888 Pesukim, in Shamayim, there must be 6,000 Pesukim. Because the Gemara says the world will last for 6,000 years. So every year has to have a chelek, has to have a shirish in the Torah. There must be 6,000 Pesukim in the Torah, upstairs. So the kasha is, if there's 6,000 Pesukim in the Torah upstairs, then why are we missing 112 of them? Says the Ma'aser Kech, it's Pashut Ma'od. How many gates of Bina are there? There are 50 gates of Bina. How many Pesukim are there? 6,000. How many Pesukim for each gate of Bina? 6,000 divided by 50. That means each gate has how many Pesukim? 120 Pesukim. So Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have the 50th gate. So how many Pesukim was Moshe given? 5,880 Pesukim. You got the cheshbon? There are 50 gates of Chachma. Says the Maser Kech, Libi Oimerli in the Shamayim, there's 6,000 Pesukim. That means each shar has 120 Pesukim. That means Moshe must have been given 5,880 Pesukim. So you say, perfect, that's why they're 5,880 Pesukim. Yeah, but they're 5,888 Pesukim. Says the Maser Keach. Now we understand there's a discussion in the Gemara. Who wrote the final 8 Pesukim in the Torah? Did Moshe write it? Or did Yehoshua write it? Says the Maser Keach. Moshe was originally given 49 gateways of Chachma, 5,880 Pesukim. But then on his final day, he zoichet to a little bit of the Sharnun. How much of the Sharnun? 8 Pesukim. Did Yehoshua know the Sharnun? Chasam Sofer writes, his name was not Yehoshua ben Nun, his name is Yeshua bin Nun. He's misboinein in the Sharnun. He thought about the Sharnun. He contemplated the Sharnun. How, now the question is, well, if Moshe didn't have the Sharnun, how could Yeshua have had the Sharnun? The answer is on Moshe Rabbeinu's last day, he was given a little taste of the Sharnun. How much of the Sharnun? That's the dispute of the final 8 Pesukim of the Torah. So Moshe Rabbeinu was handed 49 gateways of Torah. Each shar is 120 Pesukim. So Moshe Rabbeinu was given 5,880 Pesukim. But now Moshe Rabbeinu in his final day, Vayal Moshe me'arvois moyav el har nevoy. He's given the Sharnun. How much of the Sharnun? 8 Pesukim. Who wrote the last 8 Pesukim? Some say Moshe Rabbeinu wrote it, but his last day was Shabbos. He wrote it b'dema, he wrote it with tears. Some say he dictated it and Yeshua wrote it. Bottom line is, says the Maser Rekeach, Libi Oimerli, in the Shamayim there's 6,000 Pesukim. Moshe Rabbeinu, if he would have known all Sharnun, he would have been given 6,000. He was given Chamishim Chasar Echad, so he was given 5,880. And that's the pshat in the Gemara who wrote the final 8. The final 8 Pesukim of the Torah is from the Sharnun. Now, it comes out, how many Pesukim are we missing? Missing 112 Pesukim. Just as an aside, we'll discuss this a different time. The number 112 is a very important number. 112 is Elohim and Shem Havaya. 86 and 26. The famous Shem Yaboik. Ya'anenu b'yoim karenu. Yaboik. Yaakov Avinu cross Ma'avar Yaboik. So we're missing 112. Moshe Rabbeinu originally was given 5,880. 120 was held back. He got another 8 in his final day. This is the machloikes. Who wrote the final 8 Pesukim in the Torah? The Maser Kech takes us further. The Gemara says in Tmura that on the day of the passing of Moshe Rabbeinu, how many halachas were forgotten? Anybody remember? The Gemara in Tmura and Daf Tezayin, the Gemara says 3,000 halachas were forgotten during the Avelos of Moshe Rabbeinu. Where does that number come from? The Maser Kech says it sounds like Divrei Chaloimos. It's Divrei Nevuah. Who came up with the number 3,000? What, there was a guy there with a ballot, and as the halachas were being forgotten, he clicked something. He had a clicker, or who was tallying up these numbers? 3,000. Who came up with this tally? 3,000. Says the Maser Kech, Libi Oimerli, that if there's 6,000 Pesukim in the Torah Shel Mala, there must be 6,000 halachos of Torah Shebal Peh. Now, Moshe Rabbeinu, when he gave smicha to Yeshua, Hashem told him, put one hand on him. But what did Moshe Rabbeinu do? He put two hands on Yehoshua. Okay, says the Gemara, he gave Yeshua Malei v'Gadosh. Now, if there's 6,000 halachas in the Torah, then how much is Gadosh? When there's a halacha that something overflows, how much overflows? So the Gemara in Eruvin says overflow is 1/3 of the whole tally. So if there's 6,000 halachas, what was overflowing? 3,000 must have overflowed. So says the Maser Kech, there can never be a time in history that we don't have 6,000 halachas. The 3,000 halachas that were forgotten during the Avelos of Moshe were the extra 3,000 dinim that he gave Yehoshua to be Malei v'Gadosh, that he gave him ba'ayin yafa, he gave him an additional 3,000, and then by the Avelos of Moshe Rabbeinu, those extra 3,000 were forgotten. That's how Chazal know that 3,000 were forgotten. How? Because since there has to be 6,000 halachas, and Yehoshua was given Malei v'Gadosh, which means he had to be given an additional 3,000, so then when they were forgotten, it must be out of the 9,000, 3,000 were forgotten. Says the Maser Kech, look at number 18. If you look at the end of the Torah, the pasuk says, "Vayivku b'nei Yisrael es Moshe ba'arvos moav shloishim yom vayitmu yemei v'chi evel Moshe." The Avelos completed. V'Yehoshua ben Nun malei ruach chachma. Yehoshua was full of chachma. I don't understand. If this was during the Avelos of Moshe, how could Yehoshua have been full of chachma? L'chayra, he was missing chachma because 3,000 halachas were forgotten. Must be that when Moshe Rabbeinu put his hands on Yehoshua, he gave him not only 6,000, but he gave him an additional 3,000 malei v'gadosh. And now that the Avelos of Moshe completed, so now Yehoshua is only malei chachma, but he's not malei v'gadosh, meaning he forgot the 3,000. So Yehoshua ben Nun malei ruach chachma is not saying that he had extra or he had a lot. It's saying now he's only malei, but he's not malei v'gadosh. Bottom line is, the number of Pesukim we have in the Torah is bediktuk gamor. Moshe tried to copy from now. The tradition is, when you write the words in the Torah, Le'enei Kol Yisrael, it has to be in the middle of the line to indicate Yoiser mima shekarasa lefanenu yesh kan. There's more here. We don't have it yet. It wasn't given yet. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't access all of it. But Moshe Rabbeinu was given 50 minus 1. How much is the 1? 120 Pesukim. Did he get any of it? He got 8 Pesukim. Now, if somebody wanted a shemetz, a semblance of the Shar Nun, which Pesukim in the Torah should they read? The last 8 Pesukim in the Torah. The last 8 Pesukim in the Torah are literally from the Shar Nun. When you get up to Pasuk 5880, you've done the Mem Tesh Shari Chachma. When you get to the last 8 Pesukim, when you get to Chasam Torah is the Shar Nun. So Moshe Rabbeinu who accessed the Shar Nun, Vayal Moshe me'arvois moav al har Navoi. The Chasam Sofer was a nitzutz of Ramban. Ramban had Nishmas Moshe Rabbeinu. So the Chasam Sofer didn't just take the 50th Aliyah. The 50th Aliyah, Chasam Torah, is somehow, corresponding to the 50th level of Torah, the Shar Nun. The Chasam Sofer was makbid to read these Pesukim. Because according to Maserei Keach, once you get to the final 8 Pesukim in the Torah, the final 8 Pesukim in the Torah is the highest Madrega of Torah, the Shar Nun. And this was what Moshe Rabbeinu was Zocha to in the last days of his life, the last day of his life. How many Pesukim, Rabbi say, are we missing? Kuf, Yud, Beis. Says the Maserei Keach, the numerical value, Kuf, Yud, Beis, B'miluai, is Keminyan HaTorah, or Keminyan Keser. So this is some of the secret of the mysterious practice of the Chasam Sofer to take the 50th Aliyah on Simchas Torah, and not only the 50th Aliyah, Chasam Torah, the final 8 Pesukim of the Torah, which was written in the last moments of the life of Moshe Rabbeinu, came from the highest Darga of Torah. Now, Moshe Rabbeinu, what did he take on his last moments? He took the Nun. Says the Shla HaKadosh, Hashem gave him a gift. Moshe, here's the Nun. Here's the Nun. Says the Shla, if you take the Nun and you put it into Moshe, Nun plus Moshe is Neshama. Moshe Rabbeinu was elevated to the highest Madrega of Neshama, says the Shla, when the Nun entered the Oisios Moshe. And therefore his student, who learned from him, when Moshe Rabbeinu took in the Nun, his student became Yehoshua bin Nun, because he's a Talmud of Moshe. So the bin Nun is not only the name of Yeshua's father, but it represents that Yehoshua took with him for his entire life the lessons that he learned from Moshe Rabbeinu. So here we are, we're on the 51st day since Rosh Chodesh Elul. Tomorrow we're going to all cry out, Hoshana. Help us on the 51st day. Tomorrow we're already past the Shar. We're already above that. We're already Nun Aleph. Hoshana lemancha Elokeinu. Hoshana lemancha B'reinu. Hoshana lemancha Goyaleinu on the 51st day. Hoshana Rabbah is the day of David HaMelech. David, Melech Yisrael, Chai V'Kayam, he's Mashiach. Mashiach, the Sefer Likutei Amarim says, is a Rashi Tevois, Mashiach Yegala Shar Chamishim. Mashiach will reveal the 50th level of Torah. So what is the 50th level of Torah? What is this level? If you look in the beginning of Shir Shiurim, Shlomo Melech says that we ask the Rebbeinu Shalom, Yishakeni min hashikois pihu, that the Rebbeinu Shalom should kiss us. What is that talking about? Says Rashi. By the way, if you want to know what Rashi looks like, this is a picture of Rashi. We took it. We got a good picture of Rashi. Rashi says that at Har Sinai, the Rebbeinu Shalom spoke to Klal Yisrael peh el peh. Is there ever going to be an event in history of the Jewish people that will rival Har Sinai? Says Rashi, yes. Says Rashi, Muftachim anu. We are vouchsafed that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is destined to reveal himself to Klal Yisrael and teach us the soidos of the Torah like at Har Sinai. That's what Rashi in the beginning of Shir Shiurim. What is this Torah that the Rebbeinu Shalom is going to reveal to us? This is the Shar Nun. 112 more Pesukim. Of course, Animamim be'emun shalema. She'Torah zoi loy teh muchlefes. V'loy tehei Torah acheres me'ez haboyer yisbarach shemai. But there's a certain amkos in the Torah that the Rebbeinu Shalom will reveal to us with the coming of Mashiach. Mashiach Yegale Shar Chamishim, where the Rebbeinu Shalom will be Makayim Yishakeni min hashikois pihu, and the darga of the 112 more dimensions of Torah that were nitein li Yisrael, but v'loy nisbayer oimek ta'amoi, that we should be zoicha to with the coming of Mashiach ben David, sheyavai b'mher v'yameinu amen. But again, when we get Simchas Torah and we hear Chazak, Chazak v'nis chazek, we completed 5,888 Pesukim. How many Pesukim in our Chumash? 5,845. We're off by 33. 33 is we need revelation. So we ask Rabban Sham, right now you gave us 5845. Somewhere here is 5888. So we say, Gal Einai, open up our eyes, 33 to the 33 more Pesukim that are here. We don't know how to cut it. We don't know how to slice it. By the way, Rav Moshe writes a Chiddush in the Igros Moshe based on this. That there's certain times that if the Baal Koirei lanes too little aliyos, you don't go back. Why? Because somewhere out there are missing 33 Pesukim. So misafek, if the Baal Koirei, let's say for an aliyah, lane 2 Pesukim, past the midway point in the Torah, there's no turn back. There's no backseas at that point. Why? Because there's somewhere out there, Gal Einai v'abita neflois mitar secha. There are 33 more Pesukim than that we could account for. So we should be zoicha to the Bakash of David HaMelech, Gal Einai v'abita neflois mitar secha.